Hello, everyone. Welcome to another daily chess session. Today, I will be discussing some daily games as I play. So let's get into it. So here we have Tarrasch Defense played against my Catalan opening. This is still theory. Here you can play either knight to a4 or bishop to d4. I'm going to play knight to a4 with the idea of plugging the c5 square and making it difficult for my opponent to play c5. And this is keeping his pawns under quite a bit of pressure. And I think it's just the best move. So knight to a4. Let's continue. Okay, so I have the choice of taking with 4 different pieces here. And I think I'm going to take back with the bishop. The problem with taking with the queen, I think, is that, for one, it allows bishop to f5. I'm not sure if I want that bishop to be on the diagonal. I like having control of the b1, h7 diagonal now, since I might be attacking on it later. When I play bishop takes d1, I have ideas like playing queen to e4, bishop c2, and threatening to come into h7. So I don't want to give up that diagonal. I also don't want to play rook takes d1. That leaves my e-pawn hanging. I'm just going to have to move my rook back to e1. And I don't want to play knight takes d1 because then he has the d5 square for like bishop to d5. So I don't think I want that either. I think bishop takes d1 is going to be the move. So let's go. Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting variation of the French. I guess I'm going to play bishop to d7. I just want to continue developing. But this is not an easy position. I think earlier I should have maybe taken back with the f-pawn on g6. I know that it would leave my pawn structure pretty messed up, but I'm not really sure how I'm going to get... Well, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Maybe the h-file gives me something to work with. I'm just not sure if I'm playing to castle kingside soon or not. But at least with bishop to d7, I'm continuing with the development. And I might have some ideas of getting my bishop to like b5 in the future, perhaps. So it seems like the most natural move. That's what I'm going to do. Rook to a7. That's an interesting square for that rook. It doesn't look like a very good square for that rook, of course. But I suppose he's doing this because he wants to play b5 without the rook being on a8. Because of my light squared bishop, of course, I would have some discovered attacks. I can't think of any other reason he would want to play rook to a7. So he wants to play b5. I don't really want to allow b5. So I think I should play a4 here. And another note, he doesn't want to go rook to b8 because of bishop to f4. So that's why he played rook to a7, I think. But yeah, a4 looks like a good move here. I don't really see a better move. So let's go. Okay, so in this kind of position, I'm going to want to take on d5. This is a closed Catalan, and he would want to play c5 on the next move, or on some move in the near future. Maybe he's going to play knight a6 first. But I want to fix the center right now and keep his light squared bishop bad. That is essentially the idea of c takes d5 here. Sure, he could take back with the e-pawn and maybe play c5 in the future, but then he has to worry about like me playing e6 at an inconvenient time for him. and like the f5 square being weak. So yeah, c takes d5 is going to be my move. I want to fix that center and keep his light squared bishop passive. Okay, so here I would normally want to castle kingside, but I also really want to get rid of my doubled c pawns. And if I castle kingside right now, he could play b4, and he's clamping down on the c5 square. So then if I go like c takes d4, c takes d4, I no longer have c5 after that. And I really want to play c takes d4 and c5. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do just that. And it's not a rush for me to castle, really. I can castle after this whole thing. And there's no reason not to. So yeah, let's just go c takes d4. All right, so this position is very good for me. My opponent has gone wrong in the opening here. You have to have a very good reason to play g4 and g5 early in the game like this, and I don't think he did. Clearly, I am finished with development. All of my pieces are good and active, where he cannot develop his dark squared bishop right now. His rooks are inactive. His king side is wide open. He has a weak pawn on g5. I have a bunch of really great things going for me, like I have an outpost on d3 or possibly f3. I have pressure on this weak knight on d2. I have so much to work with here in this position. So I'm very happy here with how this is going. All right, so he's probably pretty happy to have his knight on c4, but I don't think he realized that I can just take on d5. Just taking out the defense, of course. If he recaptures my knight, I take his knight. If knight takes e3, I think I have maybe knight takes e7. Would that be my move? I think so. And then take back with the f-pawn. Either way, I'm getting rid of his d-pawn, right? And I just think this has got to be the best move. Knight takes d5 here. I'm not really too concerned with knight takes e3. I think I have a lot of stuff to work with. My position is good here. Okay, so this is I have to correct myself. Last time I said this is like a King's Indian. This is actually a modern defense, which is a little bit different. But I'm going to respond the same way that I would as if it were a King's Indian. I'm just going to defend d4 with bishop to e3 here. Okay, this is Banco Gambit pawn return variation. I think normally they play g6 earlier instead of knight b7, but I don't think it makes much of a difference. As far as my move goes, I'm still just going to play e4. Let's continue. Okay, so here I think I'm in pretty good shape. He's clearly threatening to take on b2. And I'm pretty sure I want to play pawn to b4. I don't really have anything great, like as far as sacrificing the pawn goes. Clearly a passive move like rook b1 is completely out of the question. It's not something I'm even thinking of, but just explaining that kind of passivity won't get me anywhere. He could just play rook to c2 with an active rook and pressure on my 7th rank. And I want to use my rook on the d file, right? After I play b4, I'm planning to play like knight to e4 and threaten to maybe come into d6 or something like that. So yeah, b4 I think is going to be my move. If he goes rook c3, I have like knight to e4. Definitely some ideas there. Definitely some ideas. All right, so b4, let's go. Okay, this is a French defense where he plays bishop to g5. French defense classical where he plays bishop g5. I'm just going to develop with knight d7. And I played knight to d7 here because at some point I'm still probably going to want to play c5. And also my light squared bishop wants to be developed with the fianchetto with b6 and bishop to b7. So knight to d7, just a developing move. Let's go. Okay, just developing here, playing against King's Indian. So this is basically an equal position. c3 I think is a good move. He's taking away the d4 square from me. Yeah, I think I just want to activate my rook with rook to e8. I don't see much of a better move there. Okay. All right, so he goes pawn to c3. Just really holding on to that spot on d4. So it looks like it's kind of hard for me to finish development. I don't think I'd want to go bishop to e6 because of d5. And even though I have like rook to d8 after that, pinning the pawn, he unfortunately just has king to c2, which is going to be the end of that fun. So to get my light squared bishop out, I'm going to play pawn to f4. This is clearing up the f5 square for my bishop. The bishop is going to be pretty happy there on f5. If he plays bishop to d3, I just challenge him with bishop to f5. And yeah, I think I'll be able to have some fun from there. Possibly start throwing my queenside pawns at him or getting my a-rook active. But I'm pretty sure this is the best move, pawn f4. Let's go. Okay, this is at Benoni, where he does not play e6 yet. Usually they play e6, but this is fine. I can just play e4 here. Okay, this is another French tirage. Let's go c5. This variation is interesting because a lot of the times he'll play c3 here and then knight c6, and then he'll bring the d knight over to f3, which might look silly because the g knight can just go to f3, but it's strong because he's bringing both the knights over to the king side, and then the g knight can like go to e2, for example, or in some variations I think it can go to h3. So it's interesting, but yeah, c5 is the move here. Okay, I'm gonna play e4, or I could play knight to c3. Is there any reason why I should play knight to c3 instead of e4? I don't think it really matters. I'm just gonna play the e4 this time. Okay, this thematic exchange, the Benoni. Let's go c5. I'm pretty happy to just trade off my bad bishop here, since my pawns are going to be on the light squares, of course. I'm going to play e6, probably on the next move. Queen's Gambit declined. All right, got a check Benoni. Bishop e7. Sorry if the openings are boring. I don't mix it up that much. I like to stick with what I know for the most part. We're playing the check Benoni. Let's go e3. All right, so this gets his pawn to h6. Not going to give him the h-file, of course. He can have his h-pawn, but no open h-file to my king, thank you. Pawn to g6 here. And, of course, we both have chances, but I do like my attack. I don't really see how he's going to break through in the near future. So it's not too much to worry about on the king side for now. Meanwhile, I can play moves like bishop to a6, I suppose. Queen to c7, rook f to c8, stuff like that. I can start to put some pressure on his king. But yeah, g6 is definitely what you want to do here. No h-file to my king. Have a new game. This is a team match. d4 it is. Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting game. I'm in quite good shape here. He still needs to finish developing. And when he plays d6, his problem is that it gives me the e6 square, right? Yeah, and I'm happy to get my knight into e6, but I suppose the queen is pinning my knight on d4 to my knight on c3. I want to play like queen to c2 eventually, but of course now that leaves my knight hanging. I think the move to play here is e3. Just securing my knight so that I can play queen to c2, for example. And also it gives me the e2 square to work with. I can maybe bring my other knight to e2 and f4 after queen to c2. So that's interesting. One downside is that it does give him the d3 square. So if he ever were to get a knight to c5, then it could possibly get into d3. But the interesting thing is, if he ever gets to c5, my knight's going to be on d6 first. And I'd be able to just take him if I wanted. Well, if he plays d6 now, and then let's say I play queen to c2, and then he goes knight to d7, then I can play knight to e6. And, well, that's forking the rook and the c7 pawn, first of all. But it's also controlling the c5 square. So if he ever were to go into there, I could just take. So I think this is correct to play e3. What? Come on, man. Just give me your rook. Well, he was in a very bad position anyways. If he played rook to f8 or something, I would just play... I think I'd just play queen d6 anyways. And yeah, I'm threatening lots of things here. I guess bishop takes e7 is a pretty huge threat. But yeah, he'll just resign. He just dropped a rook. That's kind of disappointing. New game. Okay, King's Indian. This is fine. Knight to d2, yeah, because he's trying to get into c4. Or maybe he wants to go for some kind of like f3 or... well, maybe not f4, but it's a pretty standard maneuver in a lot of positions. Go knight to d2 to c4, but yeah, what should I do? Should I play e6 so that I can play b5? Or should I just castle? If I go a6, he just goes a4. If I castle, he's probably just going to like move his bishop or something, right? I think I'm just going to throw in a6. I think it's a move I want to play at some point anyways. Or hold on a second. Maybe he is trying to play f4. But if he plays f4, I just take. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, let's just go a6. That's fine. I could just castle on the next move. Or I could maybe still go like knight b to d7, f8, g6. Yeah, that's fine. All good there. Okay, so he goes pawn to a5. Well, this is one way to make something happen on the queen side. I suppose I want to take. I could just let him take, but I guess taking is fine because now he's probably just going to have to work to get it back with queen to a4, and he will get it back. That's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with this. Okay, he goes g6. So very, very tempting to play e4 here, but I don't think I should do it. If I go e4, he goes knight to b4, queen e2, for example, bishop g4. He's threatening quite a few things. Mostly bishop takes knight is the threat. So I think I just want to play the prudent move here and castle. And yes, he can play bishop to f5, and he gets a tempo on my queen. And I may not be playing e4 super soon, but that's okay. I don't need to like play e4 now. Well, because I could get in some trouble defending everything, I think, and I can't have everything, right? I think in this opening he wants me to play e4, and it's tempting, but I'm not going to fall into that. Let's castle. All right, so Molina going to kind of Slav Indian setup. I don't think I want to go into like some kind of gambit line with knight to f3. I think queen to a4 is good. I don't want to go c2 because he just has bishop f5, of course. So queen a4, just preparing to recapture the pawn on c4 if he decides to take. All right. This is a check Benoni where he hasn't moved his c-pawn, so it's not really a check Benoni, it's something else. But I'm going to play it in a similar way here, just by going bishop to e7, preparing to castle. All right, I think we are caught up for now. I guess I'll play g6. Is there any reason I shouldn't play g6? Maybe I should take on d4 first. I'll have a little think on it. But I hope everyone enjoyed the session today, and I